to Video Marketing Success Stories. Thank you for joining us. My name is Andy Glickman. I'm your host. Each week, we like to take a look at news from the video marketing world and talk with some key players in the industry to get their take on what makes things work and various pitfalls to avoid. So today we have one of our frequent guests and friends of the show, Mr. Maury Rogow, founder and CEO of Rip Media Group, one of video marketing production companies here in LA, one of the top ones. Maury, thank you for joining us again.
I love being here. Thank you for having me again.
As I mentioned, Maury is a frequent visitor, so we like to talk about some of the projects that are either on Rip Media's plate or that they have completed in the past, in the recent past. I want to kind of dig into the vault a little bit, if we may, for today's show. I always like to look at some of the projects that companies have done with some larger name companies and kind of discuss what goes into not only securing some recognizable clients, but also, you know, when you can work with a bigger budget or you work on multiple projects. Something else you could talk about if there's a different mindset or if there's a different sort of creative process. And one that I noticed from the Rip Media library was for LexisNexis. Actually, you guys made a couple of videos for LexisNexis that I found, and it's really nice high-end art. Talk about sort of the beginnings of how you got into the relationship with LexisNexis.
I love the LexisNexis story. It's actually one of my favorites, and I'm not going to even hold back here. When this story was happening, when I tell you that a tear came to my eye, a tear really came to my eye. It might have actually dropped on my cheek because it was early on. All right. So the story is we were doing a lot of work and we were doing snippets, right? So we were doing, you know, kind of full explainer videos, animation. We would do little pieces of 3D animation and higher end looks for different customers and for different movies at that time. So we had, you know, projects that were being slid into movies and trailers and things along those lines, but our name was never out there. We weren't direct to consumer. We were white label. White label means we do the work and nobody ever knows we did the work. We can't even show it. So we had a customer, one of our long-term customers, Vigilant Solutions, which we should talk about at some point. They just got purchased by Motorola for, you know, a whole big chunk of money. And we did their full marketing suite for a long time. So what happened is those two companies were sort of partners with each other and they knew some people. So somebody at Vigilant Solutions contacted the head of marketing at LexisNexis, a $16 billion company, you know, with all these divisions around the world with a really complex product. And, you know, they were growing and growing by acquisition. And I got a phone call, or actually I called in to the person that was the contact. I said, you should reach out to this person. Her name was Susan, or still is Susan. And I spoke with her really briefly. And I said, you know, I'd love to have the chance to be able to work with you. And she said, yeah, I like your work. You know, we kind of work up at this level. And I said, I assure you, I promise you, we do that. But I can't show you that work, right? You know, offline, you know, can I share something with you? Can we get together? I can show it on a laptop, but I can't sort of share it across the web. So we actually ended up doing that. And we really got along nicely. And it was a few months later that this is what happened. She said there's a big project that they're going to be going through. They're going to bring in all their major vendors. I mean, the big video and design agencies that they've been working with for years, and she's going to give us a slot. She's going to give us a chance at the table. All right. And I was excited. This is great. So I said, can we do a little bit of a discovery with you? And then what we'll do is we'll come up with some pitches and some ideas and flush them out and then give them to you to present at that meeting to try to make ourselves stand out because we're the no-name vendor. And she said, I would love that because everybody walks in that door with their own favorite. You know, I'm not going to play favorites. And one thing that I will do, she said, once I get everybody's pitches, including yours, I'm going to remove the name of who proposed what so that nobody feels like, oh, well, these are my guys. This is my agency I've used. So let me go ahead and go with them no matter what the pitch is, because there's relationships. Instead of her wanting the best work, the best creativity and the best, the most effective marketing message for them, that's what she wants. So, not a particular agency. She just wants the best. So we handed that to her. I just did kind of a pitch over the phone. I give her the files. This was on a Friday, and I was very proud of what we had created for probably a week straight. We put together a bunch of designs and so on and gave them to her. So she said, the meeting's Monday at noon, and I'll call you afterwards and let you know how it went. Here's the phone call that I got. She called up and she said, I just left the meeting. And I said,
this was on Friday.
I really appreciate this. No, she called for Friday is when I finalized, do you need anything else from us? She said the meeting that they're going to review everything is on Monday at, roughly noon or so. So she said, I'll call you after that meeting and let you know how it went. And so she did. So she did. She called on Monday after the meeting, and I'm pretty anxious and nervous, and I'm just feeling like just to have a slot at the table. At this time in the, I'd say the career of Rip Media Group, we hadn't been at a table this big yet. This was sort of our first big project if we could win this. And even if we came in second or third, you know what? We're going to get in there. That's the way I was feeling. I felt very positive about it, but I knew our work was great. So she said, here's how the meeting went. I took everybody's names off the proposals and the pitches. That worked out really well. And there was one very clear winner. Everybody loved the concept universally. They loved the concept. They loved the designs. And then there was a number 2 that was really close. And then the drop down to number 3 was a pretty steep drop. And she said, would you like to know who the winner was? Of course, I'm pretty anxious here. I'd love to know. And I also wanted to know who number 2 was, because honestly, I thought maybe we're just number 2 when we were close. She said, well, number 1 was you, your team, and we're going to be working with you. And that's when the teardrop fell. I am not kidding. I mean, to kind of fight and start your own company and, in a whole new industry from where I was. And I was closer to being with LexisNexis than to being, head of Rip Media Group, from what my last career was like. So in high tech. So it was amazing. It was so validating. And then I said, well, who was number 2? She said, that was your second pitch.
Wow.
It was both of us. And then third was their long entrenched vendor. And so they went with us. And then she went through and she said, the second idea was fantastic. We'd love to roll that out at the beginning of next year. But as far as the first pitch and the first project, we have to start because our trade show is coming fast. And so we jumped into it, and it was our first sort of full-blown, animation in 3D, motion graphics mixed in with live production. It was just a really beautiful marquee piece.
And I'm definitely interested to know the differences that went from that initial pitch just to win the client to what the ultimate concept became. Wouldn't it be great if it was just sort of, erase a mark here and have a line? if only it were that easy, but generally I'm not that naive.
In this case, well, let me jump in then. In this case, it was very much like that. So Susan's a very creative, really high-level person, and she's one of those great customers or great clients to work with because she gives a very clear notes. A lot of customers, as you know, will say, I'm not sure I like that, but I don't know what I want it to be. Can you give me ideas? She had very clear and defined notes. Like, can we change this into this? That sort of thing. If you're looking at me, actually, there's actually a plaque on the wall that's a scene from the video that we created. So I would say this, the pitch that we put out there was, let's create this as if it's a show open, like a really sexy TV show. Like, we're moving into like a high-tech CSI, special victims unit, that kind of a thing, but not with all the live action. Let's make this a super cool sort of opening sequence of, think of the Avengers, think of Marvel movies, think of that kind of thing. Really, really neat. So they went for that. We put a timeline together with, first 10 seconds, second, et cetera, for about 70 seconds or so. And this would be playing not only at the trade show, but on their website. Their CEO would be opened with this. When he goes out and does a keynote speech, this would play. And what we pitched was very much what we produced. So they really loved the idea through and through. The cool thing was we got to enhance it a little bit. As we were moving forward, she said, we love everything. And I said, I've got an idea. I don't know if this is crazy, but we could mix this in as well. And she said, I love it. Can we meet it? Can we do it in the timeline? I said, we're going to come in over the weekend and we're going to make it happen. And that was the live action sequence that we mixed in. So that was, it was really fantastic. So very much like what we had proposed, but only enhanced based on the customer notes. So a lot of times, what you pitch changes drastically. In this case, she really gave us a lot of creative freedom, not just on that project, but she did come through on, the promise. And I think because we delivered, that she came through with not only more projects with her, but with other divisions in the company. We ended up doing multiple projects with them, some animation, some live, some 3D, et cetera, et cetera. So it was really a wonderful, wonderful partnership. And, and still is. And a lot of the people that were part of that team are now in bigger, better positions at other companies. And the wonderful thing is they're calling us and saying, hey, we still would like to work with you, even though I'm over here at this company.
Nice.
And so it's really been amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate the message that you gave the listeners, because I often have, we have great listeners, obviously, but they come from two different camps. We have people who are interested in creating video marketing messages for their company. And then we also have video marketing companies themselves listening, trying to pick out some tips. And one key message you gave was to get as much information from clients as possible. Rather than just sort of a general note, change this, change that, for them to kind of come to the table with their own ideas and how helpful that is. So for those companies out there that are looking for video marketing help, have something in mind, and definitely be proactive in your notes is, I think, the good takeaway. So Maury, do you have any resources you could recommend to our listeners that they can check out either through your website or some other way?
Sure, absolutely. There's some great resources that we put together out there. So 3 that come to mind really quick. One is the Video Bot, THE Video Bot, like robot. The Video Bot helps people make their own videos in seconds, and it's a resource that we've been using really successfully, and our customers have been using. So, you want to get back in touch with that cold lead, or the person that hasn't gotten back in touch with you, or you just want to do some outreach. Or even wish somebody, happy birthday, happy holidays. There are videos sitting in there waiting for you to personalize, and you can literally do it in seconds and send it out. And there is it's free for the first period of time. So that's a great resource. Second, if I'll give you a link to this, but this is basically it's called the Create the Salesperson That Never Sleeps. And this was actually compiled from all the frequently asked questions that we've had over the years from different customers of ours. So we put all those FAQs together and then turned it into a scorecard and a way to create your own best video marketing message and just marketing messages. So if you go there, you click on it, it's a free download, kind of download this workbook. I think it's 6 pages, nothing too laborious. It's not going to take you a year to go through, maybe a few minutes or half an hour, and you will have a great roadmap for what you should be setting up as far as your company's best story. So that is creating the salesperson that never sleeps. And then the last thing is, ways to promote your video or your story. There's another link that I could get you. And I believe that infographic is the 10 best ways to promote your video and your story. And I'll give you a link there. So those are the 3 things I can think of quickly. And happy to share more if you hit us up on our website at ripmediagroup.com.
Great, thank you. Thank you for joining us on Video Marketing Success Stories. I'm Andy Glickman, your host, with Maury Rogow, CEO and founder of Rip Media Group. If you want more information on Rip Media Group, check them out at ripmediagroup.com. You can see samples of their work and check out their blogs for even more tips. Thank you and have a great day.